Losing $44 trading Roku. Let's get into it. If you guys go back to yesterday's trade recap video, if you haven't seen it on NVIDIA, you will see that we talked a lot about risk reward. We talked about win rates, and I had an 11-0 run. Then I've now lost 4 in a row. It's kind of just going back and forth. Roku, I like these numbers. They're very small, but we lost $44. Why? What happened? Let's get into it. I remember back on a live stream that I was talking about Roku, and I was like, I don't know if I will trade that because the overall market's very, very strong. And I did not at the time. And then I rethought my approach and I got in. And what ended up happening was we ended up stopping ourselves out. So my original gut was right. But going back in time to see what I was looking at, that was back on here as we broke below this blue line, which, by the way, on Roku, oh shit, I'm all messed up here, which, by the way, was a nice support that we had established, a double bottom low, came down to it with pressure, putting lower highs. I liked it. I liked it a lot. But if I jump over to the charts, you'll see that we originally broke it. My alert went off here, and I'm like, I didn't trade it. Roku pushes up, starts to head lower, and I go, all right, now I'm going to trade it as it breaks down because it's showing pressure. So I got in, and it was a very valid entry, I think. So we got in, and what ended up happening was it closed strong. That was probably a good sign to maybe get out. And I was like, okay, whatever. Market gaps down overnight. I'm like, oh, wait, maybe we're going to have a good trade. So you kind of get the back and forth, back and forth. Now, am I swinging around my emotions and saying, holy shit, should I get out? Should I get in? No. Okay, I'm just going through like what happened here price-wise. I don't care about this stuff, really. And I mean that from a perspective of I have over 1,000 trades now logged on TradeZilla. So with that 1,000 trades comes confidence, comes consistency in my strategy, and knowing what I look for, doing it 1,000 times. Now, about 500 or 600 trades with this strategy. The first 400 to 500, I would not say that I was profitable. Actually, I was not. But since then, we have been consistently profitable for 13 months, which is the longest time I could actually say that, like without a doubt, for sure. So we then open up on Wednesday. I'm like, oh shit, market's going to be down. And we look good. And then all of a sudden, what does it do? Right back up and gets above the breakout point, the breakdown point, and not only gets above it and then just kind of bounces back. No, holds above it. So as it's holding above there, I'm like, get the fuck out. We are not staying in this trade. That was the idea. Simple as that. My original stop loss was the high of the day that it broke, which was all the way here at 57.10. I was like, I'm not going to bother. I'm going to let it. I'm going to take it off. It's not going to go. I'm not going to play. It's okay. So we take the L. If we had good momentum, it would have broken down, stayed below my level, and been weak. It's not weak. I don't want to mess. So that was really it. Nothing crazy, but that was an example of like when I always go into these trades and I say, okay, well, I'm going to look for, a 1.5 to 1 or a 1.75 to 1 or a 2 to 1 risk reward. Sometimes, like when I go, like I have that, and so you say, oh, well, how could you possibly, go back here. How could you possibly have this month a 2.2 average win loss when, when you usually get when you get a 2 to 1 risk reward, usually you're all out. How is that possible? Well, it's because of trades like this where it's not working the way that I wanted it to work. So I just cut it off. That may have been really loud. I don't know. So I just cut it off for an even smaller loss than I was originally planning for it to be. Okay? When I enter a trade, that is my worst case scenario loss. So when I go in, I say, hey, if Roku gets back above $57, $57.10, I'm out. That's my stop loss. That's a hard stop. That's it. But I reserve the right with my strategy to say, hey, based on what I'm seeing, I don't like this. If it was weak, it would be weak. It wouldn't be strong on a day where the market was down. I don't want to play. It wouldn't close back above my level for my strategy. It's irrelevant. We're done. She's off the list. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, go do it tomorrow. It's not for me. That's it. So that's kind of the idea behind the subjective side of it. And everyone, like, this is where it gets interesting because you can play the game and it's like it comes down to experience. It comes down to you knowing the ins and out of your strategy. You can't do that with confidence when you don't have 500,000 trades tracked and logged. You can do that with confidence when you have a shit ton of trades tracked, logged. You've seen it happen before. You know your probabilities. You say, hey, when this happens, there's a very good chance my stop's going to get hit, so I'm going to get out now while I can. And if we were weak, there's actually a pretty good chance that my take profit's going to hit, so I'm going to stay in. You know, that's just kind of how I go about it. So there you have it. We're currently up $1,300 on the month. We have a couple more trades up. We'll see how many of those get closed out this month. If they do, there'll be a trade recap on them, and then we'll have our monthly recap coming soon. So kind of a lot of recaps coming up here, but I think they're good to kind of talk about the psychology, the importance of risk management, all that stuff. But so far, technically only 2 red days for this month. But then again, you know, it's all relative. So we'll see what happens. In terms of sizing up, 4 losers in a row, maybe we start thinking about if there was a time to start sizing up a little bit more. Maybe this is not a bad time to do so. There you have it. That's the recap, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.